As you read, pray for yourself, for your family, and for every person you meet, that all will surrender to Jesus Christ, our Savior and Lord. It was not long after Jesus said this that he was taken up into the sky while they were watching, and he disappeared into a cloud. As they were straining their eyes to see him, two white-robed men suddenly stood there among them. They said, "Men of Galilee, why are you standing here staring at the sky? Jesus has been taken away from you into heaven, and someday, just as you saw him go, he will return." Acts 1, 9-11. Part 1. Like a mighty army. I stand at the door and knock. If you hear me calling and open the door, I will come in, and we will share a meal as friends. Revelation 3:20. Even if it kills me. Even before you begin your attack, while your plans are ripening like grapes. Isaiah 18:5. Darlene Snyder kissed her mother goodbye in Littleton, Colorado, climbed into her van, and started the engine. Ahead lay 3 hours of travel on Interstate 70 over the Front Range, past beautiful scenery, like Mount Elbert's 14,431-foot peak, the state's highest, and then on to Glenwood Springs in time to prepare for work the next day, cleaning homes of the wealthy and famous in Aspen and Snowmass. Her mother, widowed when Darlene was still a toddler, watched her daughter fondly from the doorway of her home, remembering better days. The days before Darlene ran away at 16, before her husband died of colon cancer at the age of 33, at the peak of his ministry as a pastor, before the years of drug addiction and all that went with it, that Satan used to rob Darlene of her godly heritage. In the glove box of the van was a set of 4 cassettes titled Left Behind, the audio version of a book by the same title about events described in the last book of the Bible. "Darlene," her mother called, "have you listened to the tapes yet?" "Someday," Darlene said. She threw her mother a kiss and sped away. Weeks later, when she was returning home from a doctor's appointment in Denver, Darlene popped the first cassette into her player and turned up the volume. As she listened, the Bible messages she had heard as a youngster returned to her mind. She most certainly would be left behind when the Lord called her mother, her brother and sisters, and their families home to heaven. She thought of her father's love for the Savior, and how he had preached about him from the pulpit of Union Gospel Church at Waterloo, Iowa, where she was born. Before long, Darlene could hardly see the road through her tears. As she struggled with unhappy memories, she considered where her years of rebellion had taken her. Somewhere in the Rocky Mountains of Colorado, conviction shook her. She gripped the steering wheel with all her might, gasping with sobs as the narrator on the cassette tape continued. 2 decades of rebellion were melting away like the snowpack in the spring. The love of the Savior had touched her at last. Darlene's mother remembers Darlene as a very loving and caring daughter. When she was 5 years old, she was to have her tonsils removed. On the morning of the operation, Darlene began to cry as she sat with her mother in the hospital's waiting room. While Fran held her daughter close, Darlene said, "Mommy, you will have to be here all by yourself while I'm gone." At the age of 14, Darlene dedicated her life to Christ. But when she turned 15, she began to bristle at authority. Her mother placed her in a Christian home for troubled kids, but they could not get through to her either. There, Darlene met a rebel named Gary. He became her first love and stole her innocence. Fran grieved again when a man raped Darlene, prompting Gary to break off his relationship with her. Broken-hearted, Darlene became callous and jaded. One day she was loving and caring. The next, she became abusive, unkind, and hateful, with a terrible attitude, her mother said. I'd lie in bed at night waiting for her to come in. Then I'd get up and tell her she was grounded, but then she wouldn't come home from school for days. I'd phone the school only to find out she hadn't attended classes. I'd pray with her, but she would mumble hateful things under her breath.